When we think of sea monsters, we usually think of mythical beasts found in legends and folklore stories. Ones that preyed on sailors with tooth, claw, and tentacle. But if you travel back far enough in time, you will come into contact with a variety of actual marine predators that were more or less real live sea monsters, including deadly plesiosaurs from the Jurassic, serpent-like mosasaurs from the Cretaceous, and titanic ichthyosaurs from the Triassic. These fearsome animals, along with many others, dominated the seas and oceans of Earth during the Mesozoic era and made it a rather questionable decision to enter any sort of salt water. However, in those prehistoric times, not even fresh water was safe, as once in a blue moon, one of these sea monsters would successfully enter a freshwater ecosystem where it would then establish itself as an efficient killer, transforming it into a full-fledged river monster. And one of the best examples of this comes from the iconic mosasaurs, as during the late Cretaceous, roughly 85 million years ago, the world saw the emergence of the only known freshwater mosasaur, the Paleosaurus. It was given the species name Inexpectatus, meaning unexpected, a reflection of the paleontologists' surprise when they found a mosasaur in freshwater sediments within Western Hungary. Specifically, it seemed to have lived in what would have been a fluvial environment, in other words, rivers. The paleontologists who found it were able to deduce that it spent its entire life in fresh water, as opposed to only temporarily inhabiting it. This was surely unfortunate for others sharing its environment, as the Paleosaurus was no pushover, with it being a mid-sized mosasaur belonging to the Tethysaurini subfamily. Fully grown adults were able to reach 6 meters or 20 feet in length and 550 kilograms or 1,210 pounds in body mass, making it the largest predator in the water. At this stature, it also outsized the biggest recorded American alligator and multiple species of dinosaur that shared its environment. Additionally, this river monster didn't just have size on its side, as it was well equipped for river life, possessing a crocodile-like flattened skull, which was useful for water-level ambush hunting of terrestrial and shallow water prey. The Paleosaurus was further aided by its teeth, which were conical and curved, allowing it to easily grip and puncture any unfortunate victim. Outside of its jaw and skull, this mosasaur was actually further built for freshwater through its limbs. It's actually not known for certain what its limbs were like, but a leading hypothesis is that they were rather primitive compared to other mosasaurs, with potentially having non-paddle-like limbs. While this may sound like a bad thing, this feature, along with having a robust sacrum and pelvis, allowed the Paleosaurus to propel off the river floor during ambush attacks, making it that much more of a deadly river monster. We can deduce that its habitat was extremely rich in life, both in the water and on land. The diversity of animals gave this mosasaur a wide range of potential prey items, such as fish, amphibians, squamates, birds, and possibly even non-avian dinosaurs. In true mosasaur fashion, this creature would dominate its habitat for millions of years. However, it appears that through the Mesozoic, the mosasaurs were actually not the most successful group in invading the freshwater ecosystem, as that title belongs to the plesiosaurs. This is a group of marine reptiles that through the years have swam their ways into myths and legends thanks to their unusual appearances, and have even appeared alongside other famous sea monsters as far back as the 1800s within a variety of paintings and artwork. A famous example of plesiosaurs becoming river monsters come from the Kemkem geological group of eastern Morocco, which is dated to the early late Cretaceous. Here, paleontologists made a one-of-a-kind find when they unearthed an adult and juvenile plesiosaur within the stratum. Unfortunately, the remains found were fragmented, and thus it was impossible for them to decide if it was a new species or not, and therefore it has remained unnamed. However, they were able to tell that it belonged to the Leptocleididae family, whose members were rather small compared to other plesiosaurs. That being said, the Kemkem plesiosaur still grew to a size which made it fairly large when compared to today's aquatic animals, with adults reaching 3 meters or 10 feet in length, similar to that of a large bull shark. As a leptocolidid, this animal would have likely fed on clams, snails, and fish. But as it inhabited the Chemchem group, it probably also fed on small animals, such as a mix of amphibians, lizards, snakes, turtles, and possibly even pterosaurs. Its streamlined build and smaller stature granted it the necessary ability to navigate the river systems it lived in. However, it would have needed to be careful as it wasn't the largest predator around, with predatory fish and crocodilians possibly preying on it. Additionally, the giant Spinosaurus was also resident of this environment and may have targeted the plesiosaur occasionally, adding yet another layer of danger. Yet, there is still no denying its status as being a river monster. However, that isn't to say it was necessarily the most successful plesiosaur to conquer fresh water, since if you travel to the Western Hemisphere, you would find a plesiosaur that became much more of a menacing monster. This was the Fluvionectus. This plesiosaur resided within the Dinosaur Park Formation of Alberta, Canada, which has been dated to 75 million years ago. Unlike its Chemchem counterpart, the Fluvionectus was a large plesiosaur that was capable of growing to 7 meters or 23 feet in length, outsizing all other plesiosaur found in freshwater sediments. And to further the gap between this river monster and the one in Chemchem, the Fluvionectus was a member of the Elasmosauridae family, known for their proportionally long necks, which the Fluvionectus would utilize for stealth hunting, as keeping its small and unassuming head away from its massive body would allow it to creep up on groups of fish and other animals without alerting them with the rest of its body. This adaptation proved quite useful in fresh water, but it wasn't the only thing the Fluvionectus had going for it, as it also enjoyed being one of the largest animals around, outsizing yet another plesiosaur that shared its habitat. This second plesiosaur has so far been deemed indeterminate by paleontologists as only very incomplete remains have been found, although they had deduced that it belonged to the Polycotylidae family, which are known for their short necks and large elongated heads. And although they resembled the pliosaurs, they did not belong to that clade. Though the pliosaurs did have their very own sea monster turned river monster. This unnamed pliosaur was located all the way in Australia and is known by just teeth, which based on their size suggests that this creature grew to around 5 meters, were 16.5 feet from head to tail, while potentially weighing a staggering 1.5 tons. The size of its body and teeth have led paleontologists to speculate that this pliosaur wasn't interested in small pickings. Rather, it had its sights set on large fish, crocodiles, and small dinosaurs that ventured too close to the water's edge. There is also yet another plesiosaur in its environment, albeit much smaller, possibly being one of the many victims of this ferocious hunter. Nevertheless, the smaller plesiosaur still held great importance as it, along with the other freshwater plesiosaurs, showed just how successful this group was at infiltrating rivers, and many paleontologists think they were widespread in fluvial environments across the globe. And in fact, the efficiency of these animals have even given rise to the hypothesis that they are the sole reason why no freshwater ichthyosaurs have ever been discovered, essentially preventing them from establishing a presence in any river system. If proven true, it would be a huge testament to just how successful these creatures were at becoming kings of this ecosystem. And yet, another reason why we should maybe be thankful that they, and many other Mesozoic predators, are no longer around.